Hey Sneak Peekers, my name's Risha, and today we are at Austin Film Festival interviewing the cast and crew of Ravens. Let's go. Well, we know that the story is about Japanese photographer Masahisa Fukase. My first question is, what approach did you to this role, or how did you prepare for this role?
でこの話は、彼らは聞いてるんですけど、正井さんの写真家ですけども、この役割のどういう準備を作ったんですか？
そうですね、彼の写真展がちょうど日本でやってたんで、その写真展を見て、それでそれがちょうどちゃんと彼の若い時から彼が亡くなるまでの流れで写真を飾ってくれてたんで、それは結構役に立ちました。
So in Japan, he has a photo studio. So I went to the photo studio, and it really has the story of his whole life, all the pictures he's taken from when he was younger to when he was older. So really visiting that store and seeing all the pictures was really very beneficial in learning about the role.
What inspired you to make this biopic on Masahisa Fukase?
Firstly, I'm a big fan of Japanese culture, so that goes way back to being a kid. And I'm a photographer myself and a filmmaker, so I read the story in a British newspaper. So first of all, I was just overcome by the images, but once I started doing the research, I was just struck by the power of the love story and the universality of that. And because it's an original story as well, I think in the industry now there's too much repeating, rebooting, telling the same film over again. I just thought what I wanted to do was, tell a story that was new, that was different, that was fresh. And it was a risk for me as an English guy to try and make a Japanese movie, but I had an amazing support network in Japan, and they really guided me through it. Yeah.
Well, what inspired me to do this film was really my good friend Mark, standing to my right, the writer-director. We worked on another film many years ago together, and we were in the midst of pre-production, and he showed me these books on this photographer, and I was like, this is incredible. And he's like, read this, and it was a little page of detail about the photographer. And I thought, this is a movie idea. He's like, yeah. So then the struggle to get it made started from that point, because you got to find the money and you got to find great talent and then get everything together. So it came together over the course of about 6 or 7 years. But it was just, I love photography, I love music, I love cinema. So all that together comes together in this film.
Another question, you worked alongside Kumi Takeuchi, who plays Masahisa's wife, Yoko, and the duo had a very contrasting relationship, considering that Masahisa took a lot of photos of his wife, but they did end up divorcing. And how did you approach this partnership, and how did you sort of portray the duality of it?
そう自分がさっき言ったように自分の奥さんの方がフィルムの中で言ったんですけれども、ですごい彼女のプレゼンスとか、最終的に離婚してしまいましたけれども、その映画の中でどういう彼女と自分に対してどういう役割というか、どういうバックアンドフォースがあったんですかと。
そうですね、本当に女優さん竹内久美さんという方なんですけど、彼女がやっぱものすごい素晴らしい女優さんだったんで、そういう意味ではもう本当に彼女のやることに僕はリアクションしてたぐらいのものなので。
So Takeuchi-san is a very wonderful actress, and she's so good that really I just reacted to her acting, and then that created kind of the back and forth between the two of them.
In the trailer, we see, as we know, Masahisa took a lot of photos of ravens, and in the trailer of the film, we see an actual raven-like figure, or this character being brought to life. And how does that play in connection with Masahisa, and what does that represent, sort of?
I think it's part of his personality. As a creative person, you're a creative person, clearly. There's always that battle inside, the creative struggle, and I really wanted to, how do I bring that to life? And Japan is a culture that's full of spirits and demons, like Tengu. You see them in anime, you see them in manga. And I discovered one called Tsukuyomi, and he's a moon god, and he's a raven, and he interferes in the lives of humans, and I thought, well, he's perfect. So I just started developing this character, which is kind of the inner voice of Fukase. So, and he's a really great character. I think people who've seen the movie just keep saying to me, oh, we can't wait. When he comes back on screen, you know it's going to be good. So,
it's interesting. A friend of mine saw the film, and she said, she's an actress, and she watched it with us, and she said, everyone has their raven. And I thought, that's perfect. We all have that demon, that friend, that confidant, that's that inspiration. It may be in the form of a raven. It might be in the form of a friend or a loved one or just a dog or some other inanimate object. But in this case, the raven represents so much more. It's not only this Risha, but it's him himself. So you'll get there's so many different elements to the raven in this that you can pick up on yourself. Have your own little thoughts on it.
What were some angles that you had before filming or perspectives that you had before filming this movie, and how did they change or sort of form into the final vision?
Well, my perspective on photography changed. I mean, I've always loved photography. I was raised on it. My stepfather was a photographer. But, the thing that I think was enhanced was becoming more in tune with the emotion behind one image. Also how important, the art that we make is and the struggle behind it. Because, Fukasi struggled with many demons, and I think through that is what brought out this wonderful, character. But he was not well known during his life. It was only after his, passing that it really opened up what he meant as an artist. But I learned so much about myself, and he put a lot of his own, heart and soul. Our director did.
自分がそのいろんな写真を見て自分の先入観があったでしょうけれども、実際映画のフィルミングに入ると自分の価値観とかその思ったことが変わったんですかと、映画の中でやってると。
そうですね。いやその撮影の時はそんなに変わらなかったと思うんですけど、もちろん出来上がりは監督が仕上げてるんで、そういう意味では仕上がりはちょっと僕も想像できてなかったんで、それは楽しみましたけど。
So during the filming itself, my thoughts didn't really change. But of course, after the filming, you have editing and all the other things. So I really can't control that part of it. But during the filming, it kind of went how I thought it was going to go based on the life of the character.
The only thing is that he talks in English. He speaks like the Raven character speaks because the Fukasi really wanted to be accepted in America. Like a lot of Japanese artists, they look to America. And I think of that because of the post-war thing. American culture was flooding into Japan. So I think I keep calling him Asano. Fukasi really wanted that recognition. So that's why I have him speak in English. That was the only other little thing, really.
What advice do you have for film students at University of Texas or film students in general when they're just going into the industry?
今例えばテキサス大学から来てるので、そういう学生さんがもしフィルムの世界に入ろうと思えば、どういうアドバイスというかどういう進みがあるんですかと。若い人手足
今はもう本当にこういう iPhone とかそういうもので映画が好きなだけ撮れるんで、もう本当に毎日映画撮ってくれればそれでいいと思います。
So everyone has an iPhone now, and everybody's taking videos with their iPhone. So that take a video every day. Learn how the film process works would be some good advice.
I say this because I went to Baylor, weirdly enough, and I was at school there. We didn't have a film department, but I said just make movies, whether they're good. Make your first movie so you can make your first movie. Just do something and just keep doing it. And I did that. I mean, I wouldn't say lucky, but I kind of fell into it a little bit, not realizing I was producing something. I was creating something out of nothing. And I think just making something, whether it's good or bad, no one has to see it. But just keep doing it.
What would you tell yourself knowing what you know now?
I think, it's any movie, I think you've got to make something that you feel you've got something to talk about. Like you can relate to it, you can resonate with it, and trust your own. You got to trust yourself. There's a lot of people in the industry that will tell you you're wrong, that you're not right to do this, and I think you've got to back yourself. You really have, and just believe in yourself. I mean, everybody's got talent as well, but it's hard work. Just don't be afraid of it. Like the harder you work, the luckier you get. No accidents happen. That's what I've noticed. If you work hard, you get lucky.
100%.
Okay.
All right, thank you so much for talking with us. It was so nice to meet you. If you want to see more awesome Film Festival content, click here. And make sure to follow our socials at Sneak Peek TV. Bye, Sneak Peekers.